I hate these family gatherings. It's like I'm going to the scaffold every time. But today is my only granddaughter Lila's 13th birthday. Hell of a dozen. When I was her age, I was already working in a sawmill, and all that girl knows to do is stare at her cell phone and whine about new clothes. My cane thuds on the asphalt as I trudge toward my son's house. Rex has chosen a place in the most expensive neighborhood in St. Louis. It's a show-off, of course. The nest must match his successful entrepreneur status. But I know his luxury real estate business is falling apart. 3 times he's come to me for money. 3 times I loaned him money he never paid back. I'm not giving old fool Walter Garth another dime. In my hand I have a package with a present for Lila, an ordinary book. Little Women, by Louisa May Alcott. A classic. At her age, it's good to read something good, not just your what's-his-name, TikToks. I know it won't impress her or my son and daughter-in-law, but I don't care. 80 is the age when you can stop pretending. I finally reached the right house. It's a 2-story Victorian. Rex always loved anything pompous. I press the bell, hear the melodic trill inside. The door is opened by Consuelo, Rex's wife, a Latina with sharp eyes and a cold smile. She married my son 20 years ago, when he was still promising and had a decent bank account. "Ah, Walter," she said, her voice sounding as if she'd found a dead rat on the doorstep. "Come in, everyone's here." I walk past her without even trying to exchange pleasantries. We both know it's a waste of time. The spacious living room is indeed full of people, Lila's friends, their parents, some of Rex's co-workers. Brightly colored balloons, garlands, a festive table laden with hors d'oeuvres. It smells like roasted meat and something sweet. Lila sits in the center of the couch, surrounded by her peers. They're all staring at their phones. Greatest generation ever. I waddle across the room, leaning on my cane. No one's in any hurry to offer me a chair. I finally reach the birthday girl. "Happy birthday, Lila," I say, handing her a package. My voice sounds hoarse, like sandpaper, the effects of 60 years of smoking cheap cigarettes. My granddaughter looks up from the screen and stares at me like she's trying to remember who I am. "Ah, Grandpa Walt. Thank you." She takes the bag with her fingertips, as if she's afraid of getting dirty, and places it next to her without even looking inside. "You're 13. Big," I say, not knowing what else to say to this stranger who theoretically has my blood in her. "Yeah," she replies, and then she's back on the phone. This conversation is over. I look around looking for a place to sit. I see an empty chair in the corner and head over to it. Rex intercepts me on the way, tall, like me when I was younger, but with a paunch and bald spots. He's holding a glass of something that claims to be whiskey, but I know the difference between real scotch and the stuff he usually buys. "Dad, you made it." He claps me on the shoulder with feigned warmth. "How are you feeling?" "You won't," I snapped back. "It's an old joke between us, only it's not funny anymore." Rex laughs strainedly. "You want a drink? I've got your favorite bourbon." I shake my head. I'm done. The doctor said 1 more bottle and I'll meet him in the afterlife. "You're not even gonna make it," that fake laugh again. "All right, Dad, make yourself at home. We'll be cutting the cake soon." He leaves and I get to my chair. I sit down, put my cane next to me. I have a good view of the whole room from here. No one talks to me, and that's fine with me. I'm used to being invisible, years of practice. I think back to how my loneliness began. Becca, my wife, died 15 years ago. Lung cancer. Ironically, I was a lifelong smoker, and she died. After she left, I completely shut down. I retired, moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of town, and started drinking even more. Becca was the only one who put up with my lousy temper. Her and Rex as a kid, until I etched all love out of him with my drunken antics and perpetual discontent. I was never a good father, but I was a damn good worker. 45 years in a steel mill, Started out as a laborer, ended up as a foreman. I saved every dime I made. Becca always said I was saving for my old age like a squirrel for winter, but that wasn't the point. I was saving because money gave me a sense of security I never knew as a child. My father was a drunkard and a spender. We often went hungry. I vowed that my children would never know what an empty refrigerator felt like. And now, looking at my well-fed son and spoiled granddaughter, I realize that I kept my promise. But I didn't get any thanks. And on the other hand, why should they thank me? For the fact that I was always dissatisfied, always drunk, always yelling at everyone? My thoughts are interrupted by Rex's loud voice. "Friends, may I have your attention, please?" The guests gradually quiet down. Rex stands in the center of the room, raising his glass. "Today, we are gathered to celebrate an important date, the 13th birthday of my beautiful daughter Lila." Everyone applauds. Lila feigns embarrassment, but you can see that she likes to be the center of attention. "Lila, dear," Rex continues, "you have grown up to be a smart, beautiful, and talented girl. Your mom and I are very proud of you. May this year bring you new discoveries, achievements, and joy." A new round of applause. I'm not clapping. I just sit and watch. Rex looks around the room and suddenly notices me in the corner. And of course, I want to thank everyone who came to share this celebration with us today. Our extended family and close friends. He pauses, as if remembering me at the last moment. And I especially want to toast our patriarch, my father Walter, for being with us on this important day. Several people turn uncertainly in my direction. I nod, feigning gratitude for attention I neither expected nor wanted. After the toasts, the usual hustle and bustle begins. Cake cutting, gift giving, music. I sit in my corner, silently watching this comedy. Lila gets a bunch of expensive gifts, a new phone from her parents, a tablet from some friends, designer clothes. She never bothers to open my book. An hour passes and I feel tired. The noise, the stuffiness, the strangers, it's all wearing me out. I decide to go out to the backyard for some fresh air. I get up from my chair, grab my cane, and leave the living room unnoticed. Rex's backyard is a small manicured garden with a patio. The evening air feels pleasantly cool on my face. I sit down on a bench under an old oak tree and pull out a pack of cigarettes. I know I shouldn't, but fuck it. At my age, there's nothing left to lose. I light up, feeling the bitter smoke fill my lungs. It's the only pleasure I have left. After a while, I hear voices. Someone's out on the patio. I turn my head and see Rex and Consuelo. They're standing by the barbecue, not noticing me in the shade of a tree. "Did you see what he gave her?" Consuelo's voice is full of contempt. "A book. An old book. He's got millions in his bank accounts, and he gives a 13-year-old girl a shabby little book." "You know Daddy," Rex sighed. "He's always been a cheapskate." "I don't know why you invited him at all," Consuelo continued. "He just spoils the atmosphere with his sour look." I freeze, trying not to make my presence known. Part of me wants to get up and leave. The other part wants to hear the truth all the way through. "What was I supposed to do?" Rex answers. "Not invite my father to my granddaughter's birthday party? People wouldn't have understood. Who cares what people think? He's been a lousy father all his life, a drunk and a tyrant, and now he's sitting on his millions waiting for us to jump in front of him. You know the money will be ours in the end," Rex says quietly. "Be patient a little longer. He won't last forever." "Sometimes I think he'll outlive us all," Consuelo laughs. But there's no fun in her laugh. "You know what Lila told me? That she was afraid of her great-grandfather, that he smells like death." "Children are sensitive to these things," Rex replies. "But don't worry, this is the last time I'm inviting him over. Honestly, I'm sick of pretending we're one happy family. We only invited the old man out of pity so he wouldn't die alone in his kennel. And he didn't even say thank you. Those words hit me harder than any physical blow. Out of pity. I sit, stunned, unable to move. Something inside breaks the last thread that connected me to these people, to the illusion of family. Let's go inside, Consuelo says. Lila will be opening the rest of the presents soon. They leave and I'm left sitting in the dark. The cigarette burns down to the filter, burning my fingers, but I feel no pain, only emptiness, and a strange relief, as if I've finally seen the truth I've always known but refused to acknowledge. I rise slowly, leaning on my cane. I walk around the house, not wanting to see anyone else. I go out the side gate and head for the bus stop. I don't tell anyone I'm leaving. Why should I? The old man was invited out of pity. Well, let them pity each other now. The bus is almost empty. I sit at the window and watch the streets of St. Louis go by. The city I've lived in all my life but never truly belonged to, nor to my own family. Once I get to my house, I struggle to climb the stairs. The elevator in my apartment building is perpetually broken. I open the apartment door and walk into the darkness. I don't turn on the lights. I just stand in the hallway, feeling the emptiness around me, not just the apartment but my whole life. Out of pity. Those words echo in my head. I always knew I wasn't loved, but I thought I was at least respected or feared. But pity. That's the worst. I go to the kitchen and pour myself a glass of water. My hand trembles, spilling the drops onto the table. For the first time in a long time, I want to drink myself into oblivion. But I hold back. Alcohol has already ruined enough in my life. It won't help now either. I sit down at the kitchen table and look out the window at the night city. The lights of the houses, the sparse cars on the street, people coming home to their families, real families. And I sit alone, old and unwanted, a bargaining chip, tolerated only for money, out of pity. And the sad thing is, I'm responsible for this. I've created this situation through years of neglect, anger, and coldness. That night I can't sleep for a long time. I lie in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and think about the fact that something needs to change. I can't end my life like this, alone and bitter. And for the first time in years, I'm making a decision that probably won't fix anything, but will at least give me a sense that I have the last word. Tomorrow I will go to the notary and change my will. The morning greeted me with a headache and silence. The empty apartment rang silent, as if mocking my loneliness. Outside the window, the gray St. Louis sky promised rain, typical weather for my mood. I struggled to get out of bed. 80 years old is no joke. Every morning begins with an inventory of aches and pains. My back is aching, my knees are crunching, my heart is pounding unevenly, but I'm still here, much to the disappointment of some. I waddle to the kitchen, put the kettle on. My apartment is 3 small rooms in an old house on the outskirts of town. I could afford a penthouse in the center, but why? To show off like Rex? There's plenty of room for me here. Besides, I'm rarely home, mostly wandering around the city, sitting in the library or in the park. It's better than being alone with my thoughts. But today is different. Today, I have a plan. While the kettle boils, I look around the kitchen, the peeling paint on the walls, the old stove I've never replaced in 20 years, a fridge that's always half empty. I don't eat much. A few plates and mugs in the cupboard. I don't need much else. Becca wouldn't approve. "Walter, you live like a hobo," she'd say. My Becca always had a knack for creating coziness out of nothing. Our old house, despite my stinginess, was really warm. She could turn the cheapest rag into a pretty curtain and a simple jar into a vase for flowers. After she died, I sold the house. I couldn't stay there. Every corner reminded me of her. I put the money in the bank like everything else. For the family, I told myself at the time. What nonsense. I make tea and sit down at the table. On it is yesterday's newspaper. I still prefer paper to these internet things of yours. Next to it is a shabby notebook with addresses and phone numbers. I'm going to need one of them today. Last night stands before my eyes like a scene from a movie. The old man was only invited out of pity. Rex's words play over and over in my head. It's not the fact that he said it that hurts. It's that it's true. I always knew I wasn't a good father. My job at the factory took up all my time and energy. I'd come home tired and angry. I'd take it out on Rex and Becca. Then I'd go to the bar and drink myself into a stupor. I'd come home late, sometimes in the morning. And the next day, he'd do it all over again. Weekends were spent reading newspapers and watching sports. I remember Rex asking me to play baseball with him, and I'd say, "Not now, son, I'm tired." Money was my priority. Every dime I put away, saving for everything. Becca didn't complain, though I knew she sometimes wanted a new dress or a trip to the ocean. Rex used to borrow clothes from the neighborhood boys. I justified myself by saying that I was providing for their future, that my savings were their security. And now what? Rex grew up just like me. Maybe even worse. At least I didn't pretend to be a good person. And he plays the role of loving son while he talks behind my back about how he's waiting for me to die so he can get the money. Money, money, goddamn money. All my life I've been saving it for my family. And in the end, I've created a monster who only sees me as a walking wallet. I finish my tea and get up. I have to get ready. The notary's appointment is at 9 in the morning and I don't want to be late. This case can't wait. I shave in the bathroom and look at my reflection. Wrinkled face, spiky gray eyebrows, deep-set eyes with bags under them. I look like a mess. No wonder Lila said I smelled like death. She's a spoiled girl, but she's not stupid. I dress more carefully than usual. The navy blue suit I wore to Becky's funeral, white shirt, tie. Black shoes I shined last night. Everything has to look official. Today's the big day. I grab my cane, my keys, my wallet, and leave the apartment. The elevator doesn't work as usual, so I take the stairs, holding on to the banister. 5 floors is a challenge for my knees, but I'm used to it. It's drizzling outside. That's okay. I brought an umbrella. It's old, but it's as reliable as I am. It's about 200 meters to the bus stop. I walk slowly, leaning on my cane. People are rushing past, young, busy, with cell phones at their ears. No one pays attention to the old man, invisible. That's what I am to them, as I am to my own family. The bus arrives on time. I sit by the window and drive to the center of town. The notary's office is in one of those glass buildings that have sprouted up in St. Louis in the last 10 years, like mushrooms after a rainstorm. There's an entrance with revolving doors and a security guard in the lobby. I take the elevator to the 7th floor. Byron Fletch's office is the epitome of understated luxury. Dark wood, leather chairs, heavy framed paintings. The receptionist, a young woman with perfect hair, greets me with a duty smile. "Good morning. What can I do for you?" "I'm looking for Mr. Fletch, Walter Garth. We don't have an appointment, but it's urgent." She's glancing at the computer. "One moment, Mr. Garth." She dials the intercom, says something quietly, and nods. "Mr. Fletch will be able to see you in 15 minutes. Would you like some coffee?" "No, thank you." I sit in a chair against the wall and wait. There are business and real estate magazines on a table nearby. Not interested. I just sit and think about what I'm about to do. There's no doubt, just a strange calmness, like I've finally made a decision that's been a long time coming. Byron Fletch has been running my business for 30 years. He's a couple decades younger than me, but he's not old either. Gray whiskers, thin-rimmed glasses, impeccable suit. When the receptionist escorts me into his office, he stands up from his desk and extends his hand. "Walter, long time no see. How are you?" "I'm still alive," I say, shaking his hand. "How are you?" "I can't complain. Have a seat." "What brings you to me so early?" I sit down in the chair opposite his desk and put my cane beside me. "I want to change my will." Fletch raises his eyebrows. He knows I'm not the kind of man who changes his mind over nothing. What exactly do you want to change? Everything. I want to exclude Rex and his family as heirs. Fletch takes off his glasses and wipes them with a handkerchief. It's his way of buying time when he's surprised. May I ask why? As I recall, your son and his family were the only heirs. They were. Now, I want to leave all the money to charity. All of it? Fletch is clearly dumbfounded. He knows the size of my estate. Walter, are you sure? This is a big decision. Do I look like a man who isn't sure of his decisions? I snap at him. Fletch sighs and puts his glasses back on. No, of course you don't. But I'm obliged to ask. As your notary and, dare I hope, friend, I've made up my mind, Byron. Find some kind of charity, something with animals. With animals? Yeah, a shelter for stray dogs or cats. I don't know, something like that. Fletch looks at me, trying to see if I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. Okay, Walter, I'll prepare a new will. It'll take some time. Perhaps you'd like to come back later? No, I'll wait here. It's no use arguing with me, and Fletch knows it. He nods and gets to work. I sit in the chair, looking out the window at the city. The rain has intensified, gray clouds hanging low over the rooftops. Perfect weather for what I'm doing. An hour later, the new will is ready. Fletch prints it out and hands it to me for review. I read it carefully, though legal terms have never been my strong suit. The gist is clear. All my assets, including bank accounts, stocks, and real estate, go to the St. Louis Animal Welfare Foundation. Not Rex, Consuelo, or Lila gets a dime. Is this what you wanted? Fletch asks when I finish reading. Yes, I nod. Where do I sign? He points to a line at the bottom of the page. I take out a pen, an old fountain pen, Becky's 40th birthday present, and I sign my name. Decision made. No turning back. I'll call witnesses to sign, Fletch says. Wait a minute. He goes out and returns with 2 members of his staff. They sign the will as witnesses, without reading it. Their job is to confirm that I was of sound mind and signed the document voluntarily. When will Rex find out about the change? I ask as the witnesses leave. That's up to you, Fletch replies. I don't have to inform him while you're alive. But if you want him to find out, I say. No, I interrupt. Let it be a surprise. Although, I think for a moment. If he asks you about the will, you can tell him I changed it. No details. Fletch nods. Whatever you say, Walter. Anything else? No, that's all. Thank you, Byron. Always at your service. He walks me to the door. Take care of yourself, Walter, and if you change your mind. I won't. I cut him off and walk out of the office. As I leave the building, I feel strangely light. It's as if the stone I've been carrying on my heart for years has suddenly disappeared. I know I did the right thing. Money didn't make me or my family happy, so let it do someone some good. It's almost stopped raining, but the streets are wet and slippery. I walk carefully, leaning on my cane. I decide not to go home right away, but to go to the little cafe on the corner. I want to celebrate my decision with a good cup of coffee and maybe a piece of cake. I rarely allow myself such excesses, but today is a special day. The cafe is almost empty at this hour. A young waitress with a nose piercing brings out a menu. I order a double espresso and a slice of apple pie. When the order is brought, I happily proceed to eat. The pie is delicious, sweet and cinnamony, just the way Becca liked it. What would she say about what I did today? I think as I sip my coffee. She'd probably laugh and call me a mean old man. Then she'd add that she was secretly proud of me. Becca always saw the best in me, even when I couldn't see it myself. After the cafe, I decide to take a walk in the park. The rain has stopped completely and the sun is even peeking out. In the park, moms are walking with their kids, retirees are feeding pigeons, and young people are rollerblading. It's an ordinary day in St. Louis. I sit on a bench and observe this life passing me by. Suddenly I feel a slight dizziness, an unpleasant sensation, as if the ground is slipping away from under my feet. I close my eyes, take a deep breath. It goes away. It's probably just tiredness from the morning's chores. I'm not used to this kind of activity. After sitting for a while, I decide it's time to go home. Taking the bus to my neighborhood, I slowly walk towards home. Fatigue piles up with every step. My legs feel like lead and my breathing is labored. Old age is no fun, I think, as I climb the stairs. In the apartment, the first thing I do is go to the bathroom to wash my face with cold water. The mirror reflects my pale face. I don't look good. I should lie down. In the bedroom, I take off my suit, hang it in the closet, and put on an old t-shirt and sweatpants. I lie down on the bed, close my eyes. The dizziness returns, joined by nausea. Maybe the pie wasn't fresh, I think. No, I don't think so. More likely just overexcited. The last 24 hours have been rich in emotion. After lying down for a while, I feel better. I get up and go to the kitchen to get a drink of water. I pour a glass from the tap and drink greedily. The water is refreshing, but the weakness doesn't go away. I decide it would be best to sleep. I go back to the bedroom and lie down again. Sleep doesn't come. I lie with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what's happened in the last 24 hours, about Rex's words, about the new will, about what comes next. Strangely, I feel no anger, no resentment, not even the satisfaction of revenge, just fatigue and a kind of detached calm. Maybe I really was a bad father. Maybe Rex has a right to despise me, but I always did what I thought was right. I worked my ass off to make sure he had a better life than I had, so that he would never know hunger or fear of tomorrow. And as a result, my son grew up to be as cold and calculating as I was. The apple of the tree, as they say. I wish I could be angry with him, but I can't. I see myself in him and realize that I made him that way. And now he's waiting for me to die so he can get the money. Money I've been saving all my life. Money that never brought anyone happiness. Well, let it do someone some good. Those stray dogs at the shelter. They need my wealth more than Rex and his disdain and Lila and her iPhones. The dizziness comes back, stronger than before. My eyes darken, and nausea rises in my throat. I struggle to get out of bed and go to the bathroom. I vomit into the toilet. Bile, since there's almost nothing in my stomach. Wiping my mouth with a towel, I look in the mirror. My face is gray. My lips are blue. Is it really? No, I don't think so. I'm just overworked. I just need to rest and it'll go away. I go back to the bedroom. I lie down. I close my eyes, try to relax. My breathing gradually evens out. The dizziness subsides. I begin to drift into slumber. Through the dream, I hear the phone ringing. I open my eyes and look at my watch. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Who could it be? Rex never calls at this time, and he rarely calls at all. Could it be Fletch? Or some telemarketer? The ringing doesn't stop. I slowly get out of bed and walk to the living room where the phone is. I pick up the receiver. Yes? Mr. Garth? The voice is young, female, unfamiliar. This is Emily from Mr. Fletch's office. I'm sorry to bother you, but Mr. Fletch asked me to clarify a point about today's document. What point? I ask irritably. We've discussed everything. Yes, but there was a small technicality. Mr. Fletch asks if you could stop by the office again tomorrow. I sigh. Those lawyers and their endless paperwork. Okay, I'll be in tomorrow. Same time. Thank you, Mr. Garth. Have a good day. I hang up and go back to the bedroom. I go back to bed, but I can't sleep. My head hurts and there's a pressure in my chest. Maybe I should call a doctor. No, I hate doctors. Besides, it's probably just fatigue. I'll just lie down and it'll go away. I close my eyes and try to think of something nice. Becca, when we were young, how we met at the dance. Our first house, small but cozy. About Rex, when he was just a kid and looked at me with adoration instead of a breathless disdain. Good memories mingle with the bad. I remember my drunken antics, the yelling, the broken dishes, Becky's tears, Rex's terrified face, my aloofness, my inability to express love, my perpetual resentment. How much I've missed, how much I could have done differently. But now it's too late. It's too late to change anything. I can only hope that my last act, changing my will atone a little for all the evil I've done. I feel myself falling asleep again. This time I let myself fall into it completely. Maybe when I wake up, I'll feel better. I wake up thirsty. My throat is dry, like I've been wandering in the desert for a week. The room is dark. It's night outside the window. I don't remember how long I slept. The clock on the nightstand reads 2 hours and 10 minutes. Shit, I've been asleep for almost 12 hours. I try to get up and I'm immediately hit with a wave of dizziness. The room floats in front of me like I'm on a ship in a storm. I cling to the edge of the bed, waiting for it to pass. It doesn't. Adding to the dizziness is nausea and a strange weakness in my left arm. I wish I hadn't had a stroke, I think to myself. At my age, that's the first thing you think of with symptoms like these. I try to smile, stick my tongue out, raise both arms. The old checks Dr. Shelby taught me. Everything seems to be working. Not a stroke. That's good. But I need to pee, and this can't wait. I fumble for my cane, lean on it, and stand up. My legs are trembling, my knees ready to buckle at any moment. I take the first step, the second. It's about 5 meters to the bathroom, a distance I usually cover in a few seconds. Now it seems endless. On the third step, my left leg twists. I try to hold on to my cane, but it slips out of my sweaty palm. The world around me begins to spin. I fall. Everything happens in slow motion. I see the floor approaching, my hand trying in vain to grasp the edge of the dresser, the cane flying away. And then there's a sharp, deafening pain in my hip and darkness. I come to with a groan of my own. I'm lying on the floor, unable to move. The pain in my right thigh is so sharp it takes my breath away. I try to turn over, but I can't. The slightest movement causes a new wave of pain. Fracture, I realize. A fall at my age is almost a guaranteed fracture. And judging by the nature of the pain, it's the femoral neck, the worst thing that can happen to an 80-year-old man. My gaze falls to the bedside table. There's a cell phone there, but it might as well be on the moon. I can't get to it. The cane is lying a meter away from me, but I can't reach it either. "Help!" I shout, but my voice comes out weak and hoarse. Who will hear me behind the thick walls of the apartment building? The neighbors on the right, a young couple, they are at work until evening. On the left is old Marge, but she's deaf as a post. Upstairs, some students, always noisy, but now, as luck would have it, quiet. I'm trapped. I'm lying on my own bedroom floor and I can't even crawl to my phone. Ironically, my whole life I've been afraid of being helpless, and here I am, lying there, more helpless than ever, trying to calm down and assess the situation. The pain's hellish, but bearable. No bleeding, that's good. If you don't move, you can survive. Sooner or later, someone will notice my absence and check to see if I'm okay. But who? Rex calls once a month, and that's only to ask if I need money. Neighbors? We barely say hello. Notary Fletch? He's expecting me tomorrow, but if I don't show up, he'll just assume I changed my mind. No one will be looking for old Walter Garth. No one will notice he's gone. The thought evokes not fear, but a strange calmness. Maybe this is the way it's supposed to be. Maybe this is my end, lying on the bedroom floor until death comes. It's not a bad option. At least I'll die at home instead of in a hospital, tied to the bed with tubes and wires. But some part of me, the stubborn, clinging to life, doesn't want to give up. That part makes me scream again, louder now. "Help! Somebody!" My voice trails off and my throat throbs. I cough, and each cough is echoed by a new wave of pain in my hip. I shut up, trying to regain my breath. Time drags on endlessly. It's getting lighter outside the window. It's morning. I've been lying on the floor for hours. My thirst is becoming unbearable, and the pain in my hip is joined by the ache in my whole body from lying on the hard floor for so long. And then I hear the sound of someone knocking on the apartment door, a faint, distant knock. "I'm here!" I shout with all my might. "Help!" The knocking comes again, louder. Then I hear a muffled voice. "Mr. Garth? Are you there? It's Marge Peterson." Old Marge, a deaf but kind-hearted neighbor who sometimes brings me homemade cookies. It's a miracle she heard me. "Marge!" I'm yelling as loud as I can. "I fell! Call an ambulance!" I don't know if she hears me, but the pounding stops. A few minutes later, it seems like an eternity. I hear more voices and the sound of the door opening. Marge has a spare key. I gave it to her just in case, which seems to be coming. "Mr. Garth?" is a man's voice, unfamiliar. "In the bedroom," I wheeze. "I'm in here." Footsteps, then figures appear in the bedroom doorway. Marge in her unchanged colorful robe and a man in a concierge uniform. They rush toward me. "Oh my God, Walter!" Marge exclaims, kneeling beside me. "What happened?" "I fell," I said. "Broke my hip, I think." The concierge, a young guy with a neat beard, is already pulling out his cell phone. "Calling an ambulance, sir. Don't move, like I can move." Marge takes my hand, her wrinkled face contorted with worry. "How long have you been lying like that?" "Since last night," I answer. "Water. Can I have some water?" She nods and hurries to the kitchen while the concierge talks to the ambulance dispatcher. She returns with a cup of water, gently lifts my head and gives me a drink. Water seems like the most delightful drink in the world. "The ambulance is on its way," the concierge says, putting the phone away. "It'll be here in 10 minutes. I'll wait downstairs to meet them." He leaves and Marge stays with me. She brings a pillow and gently places it under my head, then covers me with a plaid. All the while she speaks in a soothing tone as if to a child. "It's going to be all right, Walter. The doctors are coming and they'll help you. I'm so sorry I didn't come sooner. I heard some noise in the night, but I thought it was the students upstairs." I'm trying to smile, but it's a grimace. "Thank you, Marge. You saved me." "Nonsense," she waved me off. "Neighbors are supposed to help each other. I knew something was wrong when I didn't hear you come out in the morning. You go to the bakery every day at 7 a.m. for fresh bread. I'm surprised she noticed that. That anyone notices my habits at all. It's strangely touching." Finally, I hear the ambulance siren, then heavy footsteps on the stairs. 2 paramedics enter the room with a stretcher. They quickly assess the situation, ask me questions about my well-being, and carefully examine my leg. "It looks like a fractured femoral neck," says one of them, a tall black man with kind eyes. "We're going to put you on a stretcher and take you to the hospital. It's going to hurt, but we'll try to be careful." I nod. The paramedics are coherent and professional, but still, when they lift me up, the pain is unbearable. I grit my teeth to keep from screaming. "I'll go with you," Marge says to the paramedics. "You don't have to," I object. "I'll be fine." "Nonsense," she says again. "I'm already dressed and ready. Someone has to be with you." I don't argue. Maybe it's better to have someone I know with me. The paramedics carry me out of the apartment down the stairs, carefully, but each step is punctuated by a new wave of pain. Finally, we're in the ambulance. Marge sits next to me, holding my hand while the paramedic sets up the IV. "Painkillers," he explains. "It'll get better soon." And indeed, after a few minutes, the pain begins to recede. Not completely gone, but dull, distant. My thoughts become clearer. "What hospital am I going to?" I ask the paramedic. "Oh, Memorial," he replies. "They have the best trauma unit in the city. Memorial Hospital. That's where Becca died. Weird coincidence. Or fate. The drive seems endless, but it's really no more than 15 minutes. Finally, the car stops, the doors open. They roll me out, carry me through the emergency room, take me somewhere. Bright lights on the ceiling flicker above my head. I hear voices giving commands, see masked faces leaning over me. "Mr. Garth, we'll take X-rays to determine the nature of the fracture," the nurse says. "Just bear with me for a moment." They move me to the cold table of the X-ray machine. The pain is getting worse again, despite the medication. I clench my fists, digging my nails into my palms, the flashes, the clicks of the machine. Then I'm wheeled back to the exam room. Marge is waiting in the hallway. Her face breaks into a relieved smile when she sees me. "How are you, Walter?" "So far," I say my usual line, and she laughs. "What a stubborn old man. Even with a fracture, he's joking." The doctor shows up half an hour later, a young woman with tired eyes and a determined chin. She holds up the scans and her face doesn't bode well. "Mr. Garth, I'm Dr. Wong," she introduces herself. "You have a femoral neck fracture, as we suspected. It's pretty bad." "How bad?" I ask, even though I already know the answer. "You'll need surgery," she says bluntly. "We have to put in metal pins to fix the bone. Without surgery, you won't be able to walk." I nod. That's what I was afraid of. "What are the risks?" Dr. Wong looks at me appraisingly, as if deciding how frank to be. "There are risks involved in any surgery at your age," she says finally. "Anesthesia, possible complications. But without surgery, the risks are even higher. Bed sores, pneumonia, blood clots from prolonged bed rest. And recovery. How long?" "It depends on many factors." She pauses. "At your age, recovery will take 3 to 6 months, maybe longer. You'll need physical therapy, special exercises, and even after that." She doesn't finish, but I understand. "I won't be the same," I finish for her. She nods. "I'm sorry, Mr. Garth, but modern medicine works wonders. Many patients your age recover successfully from these operations." She says it confidently, but I can see in her eyes that the odds aren't that great. I could have fooled myself into believing in a miraculous cure, but in 80 years I've learned to face the truth. "When's the surgery?" "We have to do a pre-operative examination first," Dr. Wong replied. "Check his heart, lungs, general condition. If everything is fine, we'll operate on you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow." "What if I don't want the surgery?" Dr. Wong frowns. "I wouldn't recommend it. Without surgery, you're doomed to bed rest. That's," she pauses again, "drastically reduces your quality of life and prognosis. In other words, I'm gonna die. Slowly, from complications. Not a pleasant prospect." "I'll think about it," I say. "Of course, the decision is yours," she nods. "But I strongly recommend surgery. And now we're going to move you to your room. You need to rest." She leaves, and they take me to a room, small but clean, with 2 beds. The second one is empty. They move me to the bed. The nurse checks my IV, takes my blood pressure and temperature. "It's okay, Mr. Garth," she says. "If you need help, press this button." She points to the red call button by the bed. I nod. The nurse leaves, and we are left alone with Marge. "I have to go, Walter," she says in an apologetic tone. "My cat hasn't eaten since this morning, and I need to take my medicine. But I'll be back tonight, okay?" "No need, Marge," I say. "You've already done more than anyone. Thank you." "Nonsense," she says for the 3rd time. "We old people have to stick together. Who else is going to take care of us?" She's right, of course. I squeeze her hand. "Thank you, Marge. You're a true friend." She smiles, her eyes moist. "Feel better, Walter. I'll bring you some homemade cookies when I get back." After she leaves, I'm alone. I lie staring at the ceiling, thinking about what happened, about my life, about the decisions that brought me here, about what comes next: surgery, metal pins in my hip, months of recovery. And even after that, the limp, the pain, the limited mobility, the end of the independence I cherished, or refusing surgery. bed rest, bed sores, pneumonia, blood clots, slowly fading away in a hospital room or nursing home, a choice between bad and worse. Here it is, the old age I've been dreading. A nurse walks up to my bedside, a different nurse from the one before, young, with short-cropped red hair and freckles on her nose. "Mr. Garth, we need to notify your family of your condition," she says. "Is there someone we can call?" I hesitate a moment. "Rex, my only son, the one who's waiting for me to die so he can receive an inheritance that now won't exist." "Yes," I say finally. "My son, Rex Garth." I dictate a number to her and she writes it down on the clipboard. "We'll update him on your condition and upcoming surgery," she says. "If he asks, tell him I'm fine," I add. "There's no need to bother him." The nurse looks at me with slight surprise but nods. "Whatever you say, Mr. Garth." She leaves and I'm alone again. I wonder if Rex will come, or will he just send a bouquet with a "get well dad" note? Or maybe he won't even do that because he knows I changed my will. Fletch probably already told him. Strangely, it doesn't make me sad. All I feel is tiredness and a kind of detached calm. Maybe it's the medication. Or maybe I've finally accepted the inevitable. I'm old, lonely, and can no longer take care of myself. The independence I cherished so much was an illusion. A person cannot be truly independent. Sooner or later, all of us will need help, whether it's from family, friends, or just strangers doing their jobs like these doctors and nurses. I've saved money all my life, thinking it would provide me with freedom and security. But here I am lying with a broken hip, and all my millions can't get me back on my feet, can't make me young and healthy again, can't make my son love me. Well, at least they'll do some good for the stray dogs. The thought makes me smile. Rex will be furious when he finds out that all his expectations were in vain, that all the years of pretense and fake smiles, all those toasts to the patriarch won't bring him a dime. My eyelids are getting heavy. The effects of the anesthetic and the fatigue from the experience are taking their toll. I close my eyes and fall into a restless sleep in which I run down an endless corridor, trying to catch up with something important that keeps eluding me. It's day 4 in the hospital. Time flows strangely here, then crawling like a turtle, then rushing headlong. The doctors say the surgery was a success, but the pain hasn't gone away. It lurks under a layer of painkillers, ready to claw at me at the slightest movement. There are now 3 metal pins in my hip. Dr. Wong says they'll start lifting me up slowly in a week. First sitting, then standing with a walker. I pretend to be anxious, even though I'm not really sure I want to walk again. Why? Where am I supposed to go now? Marge comes over every day. She brings homemade cookies, fresh newspapers, and talks about the neighbors and her cat Winston. I never thought I'd enjoy the company of a half-deaf old lady so much, but she's the only one who visits me, the only one who cares. And Rex? My son hasn't even called. Although the hospital contacted him the day I was admitted, Nurse Lauren confirmed she spoke to him personally. She told him about the fracture and the surgery. "Your son said he'd be sure to come as soon as he was free," she said then with a smile. 4 days passed. No calls, no visits, not even a postcard. Well, I guess that's how he got free. I try to convince myself it doesn't bother me. After all, what did I expect? That the son I've kept at arm's length all my life would suddenly burst into filial love? That he'd run to his old father's bedside with a bouquet of flowers and tears in his eyes? No, of course not. I understand. I wouldn't have come either. Nurse Lauren, a red-headed girl with freckles, checks the IV and changes the bandage on my thigh. "How are we feeling today, Mr. Garth?" she asks with a professional smile. "We feel like an 80-year-old man with a fractured hip," I reply, and she laughs. "At least you haven't lost your sense of humor. That's a good sign." "The only thing I've lost is my son," I say, and I immediately regret it. I shouldn't burden strangers with my problems, but Lauren doesn't look embarrassed. She finishes the IV and sits down on the edge of the bed. He never showed up? I shake my head. Busy, I guess. Important business, you know. Selling houses to rich knuckleheads is not for the faint of heart. I'm sorry, she says, and I see genuine sympathy in her eyes. But you have your neighbor. She comes every day. Yeah, Marge is a real treasure. I never thought I'd be so grateful for her chatter about cats and new varieties of tomatoes. Lauren smiles. Sometimes true family isn't those we are connected to by blood, but those who are there for us when we need help. A wise thought for such a young girl. I nod. You're right, Lauren. Absolutely right. She's up. Lunch will be here in half an hour, and tomorrow is your first session with the physical therapist. Don't worry, Mr. Polanski is very good. After she leaves, I'm alone with my thoughts again. I wonder what Rex is doing right now. Sitting in his office, selling another mansion. Or at home with Consuelo discussing how to get rid of his old father's burden. And at the same time, in the spacious kitchen of Rex and Consuelo's house, there is indeed a conversation going on. But not about me. At least, not at first. Leela got reprimanded at school again, Consuelo says, chopping vegetables for the salad. Her English teacher says she didn't turn in her essay on time. It's the second time in a month. Rex sighs without taking his eyes off the laptop. I'll talk to her. But I really don't have time for that right now. The Robinson deal is on the verge of falling apart, and that's a $30,000 commission. You always say that. Consuelo throws the knife into the sink with irritation. No time, no time. You never have time for your family. It's not fair. Rex closes the laptop. I work to provide for you, so we can have this house, cars, so Lila can go to private school. What about your father? Consuelo suddenly changes the subject. It's been 4 days and you haven't even called him. He's in the hospital being cared for, Rex dismisses him. What can I do? Hold his hand, sing lullabies. He'd send me away. It's not what you can do, it's what you have to do, Consuelo insists. He's your father, and he broke his femoral neck. At his age, that can be fatal. Since when did you become his protector? Rex looks at his wife in surprise. You always hated him. I still can't stand him, she says frankly. But he's your father, and he has money, a lot of money. If something happened to him, and you didn't even visit him in the hospital. Oh, here's the thing, Rex grins. The money, sure. Don't act like you don't care, Consuelo snorts. We both know your business is falling apart. The last 3 deals have fallen through. The bank's already called about the mortgage default. I'll take care of it, Rex snaps back. I don't want his money. Really? Consuelo crosses her arms over her chest. Who's borrowed from him 3 times in the last 5 years, and who still hasn't paid back a dime? That's different, Rex turns away. It was a business investment. Dad understood the risks. He realized you'd never get that money back, Consuelo says. And he gave it to you anyway, because no matter how much you hate him, he's your father. And now he's lying alone in the hospital, and you can't even find 5 minutes to call. Rex is silent, staring out the window. It's raining outside, the drops dripping down the glass like tears. Okay, he finally says. I'll call him. Tomorrow. Call him today, Consuelo insists. And find out what's wrong with him. Old people often don't make it out of fractures like this. Pneumonia, blood clots, anything can happen. You say that like you expect him to die. Rex looks at his wife suspiciously. I'm a realist, Consuelo shrugs. He's 80 years old and he's just had major surgery. The odds are not in his favor. And you're okay with that. It's not a question, it's a statement. I'm fine if his money goes to us and not to the state or some distant relatives we don't even know about, Consuelo answers honestly. Stop playing the saint, Rex. We both know you're looking forward to his inheritance as much as I am. Rex is silent again, because she's right and he knows it. He's never really loved his father. Too many hurts, too many disappointments. But money could fix so much in his life. Save the business, pay off his debts, secure Lila's future. Okay, he finally says. I'll call him now, and I'll go to the hospital tomorrow, see how he's doing. And see if he's changed his will, Consuelo adds with a wry smile. I'm not going to ask him about his will. Rex is indignant. It's indecent. Of course not, she agrees. But you could call Fletch. He's your family notary, right? See if there are any changes we should know about. Fletch won't tell me anything. Rex shakes his head. Professional ethics and all that. Try, Consuelo insists. The worst that can happen is that he'll refuse to talk. But if your father has changed anything, Fletch will probably drop a hint. Rex sighs. He hates it when his wife is right, and she's right too often. Okay, he gives up. I'll call Fletch too. He picks up the phone and dials the notary's number. After a few rings, he hears a familiar voice, Byron Fletch speaking. Byron, this is Rex Garth, he says, trying to sound casual. How are you? Rex, the notary's voice was slightly surprised. To what do I owe the honor? I'm just calling to see how you're doing, Rex says with a carefree air. It's been a long time. Indeed, Fletch replies dryly. But I doubt that's the only reason you called. Rex gives up. Fletch knows him too well. Actually, I wanted to ask about my father. Did you hear what happened to him? Yes, I'm aware of it, the notary replies. It's an unfortunate situation. I hope he's on the mend. The doctors say the operation was a success, says Rex. But at his age, any operation is a risk. Absolutely, agrees Fletch. I hope you visit him? Of course, Rex lies. I'm just about to go. But before I do, I wanted to know... He pauses, searching for words. Are there any changes I should know about? Changes? Fletch asked in an innocent tone. What kind of changes? Well, you know, Rex begins nervously. Something important. Legal. Are you asking if your father changed his will? Asks Fletch bluntly. Rex hesitates. Yes, that's exactly what I'm asking. There is a long pause. Then Fletch answers. Your father came to see me last week, the day before he went into the hospital. Rex gets a chill inside. And he did make changes to the will, the notary informs him in a neutral tone. What changes? Rex feels his heart start to pound. You know I can't reveal details, Fletch says. Professional ethics won't allow it. But can you tell me if these changes affect me and my family? Rex insists. I can only say that the changes are significant, Fletch replies after a pause. And you should talk to your father if you want to know more. Significant, Rex repeats. It means what I said, the notary interrupts him. I have to go, Rex. I have a client waiting. Say hello to your father. And he hangs up, leaving Rex with the phone in his hand and a sense of impending disaster. Well? Consuelo asks impatiently. What did he say? Dad changed his will, Rex says slowly. The day before he went into the hospital. Changed it? Consuelo turns pale. In what way? Fletch didn't say. Rex sits up, feeling weak in his legs. Just that the change is significant. That could mean anything. Consuelo paces nervously around the kitchen. Maybe he's just clarified something. Or added charitable donations, or crossed us off, Rex finishes for her. After what he heard at Lila's birthday party, it's entirely possible. Do you think he's that offended? Consuelo stops. Because of some random phrase. You don't know my father, Rex shakes his head. He can be very vindictive and very determined when it comes to principles. What are we going to do? Consuelo sits down across from her husband, her face showing real panic. Call him, now, Rex says firmly, pulling out his cell phone. And go to the hospital, today. Wait, Consuelo grabs his arm. We have to be careful. If he did change the will, we can't let him know we know. We have to be subtle. Subtle, Rex repeats. And how do you suggest we do that? Pretend we were worried, she says. That we just found out he was in the hospital. that the hospital somehow didn't contact us before. He won't believe it, Rex objects. He's not an idiot. Then we'll say you were on a business trip, Consuelo continues. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere where there was no communication. I was with Lila at summer camp. We just got back and we got a call. That sounds even less plausible. Rex shakes his head. But there's no other way. We have to try. He dials my number. It rings. 1, 2, 3. I don't rush to answer, even though the phone is right on the nightstand by the bed. Let him be nervous. Finally, on the 5th ring, I pick up the phone. Yes? I say, not hiding my surprise. Dad, it's me. Rex's voice sounds strained. How are you? I'm okay, I say, my standard answer. Is something wrong? You haven't called in 4 days. Busy, he stammered. But I knew you were in good hands. The doctors said the surgery was a success. Yeah, now I have 3 iron pins in my hip. I can install a metal detector at the entrance to my apartment. He's not laughing at my joke. Dad, we need to talk, a serious talk. About what? I ask, even though I already know the answer. About your, condition and the future. I'm coming to the hospital today. Why? I'm as fine as I can be for an old man with a broken hip. There's something we need to discuss. His voice is getting harder. I'll be at your place in 2 hours, with Consuelo. Whatever you say, I answer indifferently. Don't forget to bring grapes. They say you're supposed to bring grapes when you visit the sick. Dad, this is serious, he said, irritation in his voice. Of course it's serious, I agreed. I'm always serious when it comes to grapes. He sighs and hangs up. Typical of Rex, always trying to control the conversation. Well, they're on their way. Finally. I wonder what made them remember I exist. Did Fletch blab about the will after all? 2 hours before they arrived. 2 hours to prepare for a conversation that might never have happened if it weren't for the money. Money I'd been saving all my life. Money that has never brought anyone happiness. I wonder what they'll say when they find out the truth. That my entire fortune is going to stray dogs instead of them? That all those years of pretending were for nothing? Well, we'll know soon enough. Soon enough. I press the nurse call button. Lauren shows up a minute later. Is something wrong, Mr. Garth? I have guests coming, I say. My son and his wife. Can I ask you a favor? Sure, she nods. What do you need? Help me clean up a little, I ask. And, if they ask about my condition, don't tell them I'm on the mend. Let them think it's more serious than it really is. Lauren looks at me in surprise. Why? A little experiment, I answer with a wry smile. I want to see if their concern is genuine. She hesitates, but then nods. Okay, Mr. Garth. I'm not going to lie, but I may be not too optimistic in my assessment. That's all I ask, I say gratefully. Lauren helps me wash, shaves, and changes my hospital shirt into a clean one. She brings me a comb so I can fix my hair. Little things, but they're important. I want to meet my loving relatives looking dignified. Time drags agonizingly slow. I try to read, but I can't concentrate. My thoughts keep returning to the upcoming conversation. What will I say? How will they react? Part of me wants to take out on them all the bitterness and resentment I've accumulated over the years. Another part of me is just tired and wants it to be over soon. Finally, I hear footsteps in the hallway. Familiar footsteps, the heavy footsteps of Rex and the light tapping of Consuelo's heels. There they are. It's time for the final act of this family drama. They enter the room as if they were attending a funeral. Rex in a dark suit, Consuelo in an understated dress the color of wet asphalt. Lila trails behind, staring at her phone. The whole family is here. A solemn moment for crying out loud. Dad? Rex walks over to the bed, puts his hand on my shoulder. Not a hug, just a touch, like it's contagious. How do you feel? Like I've been hit by a truck, I answer. Other than that, I'm fine. Mr. Garth, Consuelo nods at me with a fake smile. We were so worried. So worried that you couldn't find 5 minutes to call in 4 days? I can't help but be sarcastic. We've been busy, Dad, Rex frowns. I've got a big deal coming up, and Consuelo's putting together a fundraiser. Of course, I nod. Important business. I understand. Lila finally gets off the phone and looks at me like she's seen a ghost. Hi, Grandpa, she mumbles. You look normal. For a dying old man, huh? I chuckle. Don't worry, granddaughter. I'm not going to the afterlife yet. Dad, don't say that. Rex tries to act indignant. Nobody thinks you're dying. No? I raise an eyebrow. Then what are you all doing here? Having a family picnic in the hospital room? There's an awkward silence. Rex glances over at Consuelo as if they've rehearsed the conversation but have now forgotten the words. We came to see how you're doing, Rex finally says, and to discuss what happens next. What's next? I ask again. What's next, son? The doctors say you'll be discharged soon. Rex looks past me. But you're going to need care. You won't be able to live alone, at least not for a while. What do you suggest? I ask, even though I already know the answer. We've looked into several options, Consuelo joins in. There is a good rehabilitation center, Golden Autumn, very decent place, with qualified staff. A nursing home, then, I chuckle. Why not cremate me right away? You'll save on funeral expenses. Dad, don't start. Rex runs a hand through his hair irritably. This isn't a nursing home. It's a rehabilitation center, a temporary solution until you recover. We want what's best for you, Grandpa, Lila interjects. You can't do this on your own. I look at my granddaughter in surprise. There's something like genuine concern in her voice, for the first time in a while. And how much does this wonderful center cost? I ask, shifting my gaze to Rex. It doesn't matter. He waves me off. You have insurance and we'll help. You'll help, I repeat. That's nice of you. What if I don't want to go to this center? What if I want to go home? Alone? Consuelo doesn't hide her skepticism. It's impossible. You need constant care. We could hire a nurse, I suggest. A good nurse is expensive, Rex says. $5,000 a month at least. I can afford it, I say. Unlike some people, I can save money, not just spend it. There's another awkward silence. Rex and Consuelo look at each other. I can see how nervous they are. Something's not right. They clearly didn't just come to discuss my future living arrangements. What else? I ask them directly. Spit it out. Rex sighs. Dad, we got a call from Fletch. He said you changed your will. Here it is. I've been waiting for this. So? What do you mean, so what? Consuelo can't take it. You changed your will before you went into the hospital and you didn't even bother to tell us? Should I have? I ask calmly. It's my money. I can use it however I want. But we're your family, she exclaims. The only family. Family? I stare at her point blank. The family that couldn't find time to call the old man in the hospital for 4 days? The family that invites me to birthday parties out of pity so I don't die alone? A family like that? They freeze. Rex goes pale. Did you hear that? He squeezes out. Every word, I nod. In the backyard, during Lila's birthday party. I was sitting under the oak tree and you and Consuelo were discussing how tired you were of pretending. Grandpa, I didn't know, Lila starts, but I interrupt her. Don't, baby. This has nothing to do with you. This is between me and your parents. Dad, that's not what I meant, Rex tries to justify himself. I was upset. I spoke out of turn. Don't lie to me, son, I interrupt. Not now. We both know the truth. You only put up with me for the money, and as soon as you knew the money was gone, you came running. For 4 days you didn't care that I was in the hospital, and now all of a sudden you're worried. That's not true, Consuelo protests, but her eyes tell a lie. Fletch didn't say who exactly you left the money to, Rex says, changing tactics. But if it's some kind of charity, think again. They'll just spend it all on administrative costs. It's better to leave it to the family. So you can buy another house? Or a yacht? I shake my head. No, Rex. The decision's been made. You can't do this. Consuelo raises her voice. It's not fair. We've put up with you all these years. Consuelo! Rex looks at his wife warningly, but it's too late. Put up with you? I laugh, though it hurts my thigh. There it is, your true face. Finally, unmasked. Dad. Rex tries to save the day. That's not what Consuelo meant. We love you. You're our family. Love? I look him in the eye. Then why didn't you come to the hospital when you found out about my fracture? Why did you only call now when you found out about the will? He won't say anything. Nothing to say because I'm right, and we both know it. I've changed the will, Rex, I say calmly. All the money will go to the St. Louis Animal Welfare Fund. Every last dime. To the dogs? Consuelo can't contain her outrage. You left your entire fortune to the dogs? Yes, I nod. Because even mongrels are more grateful than you. They don't pretend to love you just to get your inheritance. You're crazy, Consuelo whispers. It's senile dementia. We can contest the will on that basis. You can try, I shrug, but Fletch made sure everything was legally flawless. Besides, I don't have dementia. Any psychiatrist will confirm that. Lila stares at us wide-eyed, shifting her gaze from me to my parents and back again. Her face reads confusion and something else. Shame? Grandpa, she says quietly, why are you doing this to us? What am I doing to you, Lila? I ask more gently. I just manage my money as I see fit. Is that wrong? But we're a family, she looks at me puzzled. Family isn't about blood, baby, I reply. Family is about those who are there for you in times of need. You know who visited me every day in the hospital? My neighbor Marge, a half-deaf old lady I barely know. She'd bring me cookies and tell me about her cat. And you didn't even call. We had our reasons, Rex says stubbornly. I've already explained. Yes, of course, I nod. Important business. There's always important business when it comes to an old, sick father. But as soon as Fletch mentions the will, you're right there. Amazing coincidence, don't you think? Rex sits with his head down. He realizes he's lost, that all those years of pretending were for nothing. You've always been cruel, Dad, he says at last. Always thinking only of yourself. Never once showed you loved me or Mom. Just money, money, money. And now you're using it to hurt us again. His words hit the mark, because there's some truth to them. I've never been good at expressing love. Never been a good father or husband. Always hiding behind money, thinking it could replace real feelings. Maybe you're right, Rex, I say quietly. I haven't been a good father, but I always wanted the best for you. I always wanted you to be happy. Happy? He looks at me bitterly. You don't even know what it means to be happy. You've been miserable your whole life and made everyone around you miserable. I don't answer. What can I say? Maybe he's right. Maybe I really never knew what happiness was. Maybe I missed the most important thing in life by chasing after the specter of security and independence. You drank, you yelled at my mom. You never came to my school plays, Rex continues, and I can see everything that's been building up for years finally pouring out of him. You threw a shoe at me when I accidentally woke you up after a binge. You drove your mom so hard she was afraid to say a word. And then when she died, you just shut yourself in your apartment with money, the only thing you really cared about. And now you wonder why we didn't rush to your bed crying. Every word he says is a stabbing blow, because it's true. It's all true. I've been a terrible father, a terrible husband, selfish, angry, a drunk. I'm not surprised, Rex, I say quietly. I don't expect you to love me. It never was, and it never will be. I understand that, but I don't have to leave you any money, especially after hearing the truth at Lila's birthday party." "That was the only time you ever heard the truth," Rex grinned bitterly. "All our lives we've been pretending for your damn money. And you know what? I'm glad we don't have to pretend anymore. I'm glad I can finally say, I never loved you, Dad. Never." His words should hurt me, but in a strange way I feel relieved. It's like finally ripping the bandage off a festering wound. It hurts, but now it can begin to heal. "Thank you for your honesty, son," I say. "Better late than never." "We should go." Consuelo stands up, adjusting her expensive purse on her shoulder. "Come on, Rex, Lila. There's nothing more to do here." Rex rises, his face contorted with anger and resentment. Lila hesitates, looking at me with a strange expression. "Go on, baby," I tell her. "You don't need to be a part of this." "I'm sorry, Grandpa," she whispers and follows her parents. They walk away without looking back. I hear their footsteps receding down the hallway, the door of the ward slamming. They won't be coming back. I know it, and they know it. Strangely, I feel no anger or resentment, just tiredness and a kind of desolation. It's like the end of a long game with no winners, only losers. Nurse Lauren peeks into the room, sees my face, and understands. "Tough talk?" she asks, checking my IV. "One last conversation," I answer. "They won't come again." She nods without asking for details. "Sometimes it's better this way, Mr. Garth. Sometimes you have to let go of the past in order to move on." "Yes," I agree. "But where do I move on to? To Golden Autumn?" "Not necessarily," she smiles. "There are other options. A social worker, Miss Parker, is coming to see you tomorrow. She'll go over all the possibilities." "Thank you, Lauren," I say sincerely. "You're very kind to me." "It's my job, Mr. Garth," she shrugs, but I can tell she's pleased. She leaves and I'm left alone, really alone, without false hopes or illusions. It's strange, but there's a kind of liberation in that. It's as if a heavy weight I've been carrying all my life has been lifted off my shoulders. It's starting to get dark outside the window. I watch the lights of the city slowly come on. People are coming home from work, rushing to their families, real families, where there is warmth and care, not just calculation and pretense. And I lie alone in a hospital room, an old man with a broken hip and shattered illusions. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a strange peace, like something has fallen into place, like I can finally exhale. Maybe Rex is right. Maybe I've never known what happiness is. But maybe it's not too late to find out. Maybe at 80, life is just beginning. It's a ridiculous thought, of course. But why not? Now that all the masks are off, now that I don't have to play the role of head of the household, patriarch, now that I can just be myself, an old, grumpy, but still alive Walter Garth, maybe I can finally find some meaning in this life. I close my eyes, and for the first time in a long time, I fall asleep without anxious thoughts. No fear of the future. No regrets about the past. Just falling asleep knowing that tomorrow will be a new day. And whatever it brings, I will face it with my eyes open. In the end, I have the last word, and that's probably the only victory that matters.